I believe this is not the last we have seen of alternate powder. I believe she might actually travel to the main universe. Let me explain. So to prove my theory, I need to establish two things: her motivation and her means of getting there. Let's talk about the motivation first. Now to explain her motivation, we need to go back to episode 7 of season 2, where Ekko, after being swallowed by the anomaly, ends up in a different world than the one he knows. And there he meets Powder, a Powder who did not become Jinx. In this timeline, Benzo is alive, Vander is alive, even Silco is alive. And we have this really important scene of Vander telling Powder,
One thing I learned as a bartender: as good as it feels to pour everyone's drink, you need to fill your own cup every now and again.
this is a crucial moment in my theory, but we'll come back to it later because it would make more sense after we unpack everything. Now here is where Ekko meets Heimer, who seems to be the Heimer of this reality at first, but it turns out that this is the same Heimer who was swallowed by the anomaly with Ekko. But he arrived roughly 3 years earlier than Ekko. And he reveals to Ekko that Hextech was not invented in this world. Without the Hexcade, the anomaly doesn't exist. As they're talking, Powder asks Ekko if he wants to go and meet Vi. So he goes with her to meet Vi, and much to his shock, it is revealed that Vi is actually dead in this timeline.
She's dead. Was it you?
You gave us the tip. We went on that job because of you.
An emotionally hurt Powder tells Ekko to leave, which he does. Now right after this, Ekko goes to the place where the Vi died, and it seems like the Vi of this world died in an explosion in Jace's lab, where they stole the hex crystals from. He manages to recover the remains of the hex crystal that exploded, and he goes to Heimer for help. He agrees to help him. Now at this point, Ekko is feeling very guilty about what he said to Powder. So as an apology, he paints a very huge mural of the Vi from his world and shows Powder that, and he tells her that he had a dream, quote unquote, where everything went different, where Vi was alive. He also tells her that she was different and that she's meant for great things. Now this whole interaction is very important because this seems to be the theme around Powder, where she's holding herself back because of the people around her and she is content with her life. Now after this, Ekko shows her the hex crystal that he recovered and asks for her help with a quote unquote project he's working on. She's first taken back by seeing the hex crystal that killed her sister, but she still agrees to help him, signifying that this version of Powder is a lot more emotionally mature than the Powder in the original timeline. So Ekko, Powder, and Heimer start researching, and Ekko finally manages to invent the Z drive, which basically allows him to go back in time. And after this, we have the whole party sequence where Heimer sends him and he tells him that he's going to give his new invention a boost. And when Ekko comes back, they're ready to go back to their original timeline. An accident occurs and basically Heimer sacrifices himself to send Ekko back. And right at the end, Powder arrives and she sees Ekko on the ground. And right after that, she sees a different Ekko, the Ekko from the original timeline who was teleported to their timeline. So now back to my point. It was established earlier that Powder is holding herself back.
You think I'm holding myself back?
I think you're too smart to spend your life in a bar.
Because she is satisfied with her life is good, she's content with what she has. She has accepted Vi's death and moved on. But would she still be the same if she learns that there's a universe where Vi is alive? Like, how would she react to that? Would she still be content with her life? So what I believe is, if given the chance to time travel and meet Vi potentially, she would take it. And like, what even further proves my point is her whole theme. Everyone is telling her how she doesn't belong there, how she's meant for something greater. Vander tells her that, Ekko tells her that, and judging from her conversation with the doll of Vi,
I got the not living up to my potential speech from Vander again. Reminds me of you.
this is not the first time Vander is giving her that talk. And Powder is a very smart person, so she probably has figured out that there's a different timeline where Vi is alive. So with knowing that, my theory is that she will try to figure out time travel to reunite with her sister. So that would be her motivation. Now as to how she would get there. Now right at the end, we have this scene where Powder puts down the necklace that she was gifted by Ekko, and in the drawer she has some hex crystals. These are the same hex crystals that she has when there's an explosion in Jace's lab and Vi dies, and these crystals can't be there randomly. Why did Riot put these crystals in the show? They serve no purpose as it is right now. And these hex crystals are crucial to inventing hex tech, which in turn leads to the discovery of time travel. And Powder Because she has worked with Ekko and Heimer and she knows what they were researching on, what they were trying, what experiments they were running, she has an idea of their research and then they invented Z drive. That leads me to believe that if she tried, she could invent the Z drive herself and by extension figure out time travel. And then time travel to the main universe that Arcane is set in. There's another theory that I'm working on, but that in itself is like a pretty long one, and that also requires a lot of context, so that would make this video a lot longer. So let me know what you guys think down below, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. If you disagree with me, why do you disagree with me?